Hey, ammo lovers and sharpshooters, ever noticed the world of bullets and brass getting eerily quiet? Well, hold on to your hats, because we're about to dive into an ammo shortage that's sneaking up faster and hitting harder than you'd ever imagine. The shelves aren't just thinning out, they're practically barren. And this time, it's not some panic buying frenzy or a trending hashtag causing the chaos. It's way bigger than that. We're talking about a little-known metal called antimony. Yep, the unsung hero that hardens your lead, sparks your primers, and keeps your barrel clean. Here's the kicker, its price just skyrocketed by 300% in 2024, outpacing the gains of gold and Bitcoin. And the US, we don't produce a single ounce of it. Zero. Zilch. So, what's the fallout when every primer you count on depends on a metal we can't get our hands on? And, to top it off, NATO's tossing around $100 billion ammo orders, snagging the supply before you can even blink. We're breaking it all down, caliber by caliber, spotlighting 5 iconic rifle rounds already on the ropes. Trust me, you don't want to be caught off guard when the ammo well runs dry. Want to stay in the know and keep your stash ready. Smash that like button and hit subscribe. I've got your back through this mess. 3006 Springfield, the granddaddy of hunting rounds, is on life support. You know the 3006, it's the cartridge your grandpa swore by, the one that's been taking down deer, elk, and moose since before you were born. A year ago, you could stroll into any big box store and grab a 60-round bulk pack of 150 grain soft points for about $49. That's 82 cents a trigger pull. Not bad. Right. Well, fast forward to today, and you're lucky to find a single box of Winchester on the shelf, and it's going to cost you $62. Ouch. But here's the kicker, the price tag is just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, it's a perfect storm of supply chain hell. China's slammed the door on antimony exports. Brass costs are climbing thanks to tariffs, and every ammo plant in the country is scrambling to keep up with NATO orders for .308 and 6.5 Creedmoor. The 3006, it's an afterthought now, only getting production time after the military calibers are sorted. And if you're a reloader, you're feeling it too. Lake City used to dump truckloads of once-fired brass from training ranges, but that pipeline's dried up. New Starline cases, they're back-ordered 3 months and cost 42 cents each. Primers, good luck small shops are limiting you to 100 per day. At $8 a sleeve, that's double what you paid in 2022. Here's the deal. The 3006 isn't just another caliber, it's the backbone of every used rifle rack in America. Savage 110s, Remington 700s, Model 70s. They all need full-power hunting loads, not some watered-down M1 Garand fodder. And those 150 grain soft points, they're still the go-to for deer, while 165 and 180 grain loads handle the big stuff, like elk. But if you're in a non-lead zone, you're stuck paying $54 for a box of copper 150 grain polymer-tipped rounds. That's $2.70 a shot, and they're flying off the shelves because guides won't let you hunt without them. Look, I get it, $300 for a stash of hunting and practice ammo feels steep. But trust me, you don't want to be the guy calling around in September begging for a box, while the clerk tells you the next shipment might come in November. Maybe, if you're lucky. So, do yourself a favor, grab those boxes now, even if it stings a little, because once the current stock runs out, it's game over. 270 Winchester, the underdog, that's getting kicked while it's down. People used to say the 270 Winchester was the caliber that always stuck around, even when election year panic buying cleared the shelves. Well, not anymore. See, the 270 shares its brass with the 3006, so every supply chain gut punch that hits the 3006 hits the 270 even harder. And in 2025, it's already on shaky ground. I checked with a regional distributor, and their pallet counts show only 1 case of 270 for every 4 cases of Creedmoor. Retail prices have crept up from $34 to $46 for a 20-round box of 130 grain soft points. That's a 35% jump. But the real pain, the selection is drying up. Federal quietly dropped its 150 grain PowerShock line last winter, blaming brass shortages, and low demand. No-slurs cutting back on partitions, pushing hunters toward pricier AccuBond loads. At $69 a box, that's $3.50 a round. If you want a premium bullet, oof. Why is this happening? Simple ammo plants are playing favorites. Every time they switch calibers, it costs time and money. With copper, zinc, and lead prices spiking, the bean counters are saying, screw it, let's focus on high-margin rounds. So, the 270 sits on the bench, while the cool kids, like 6.5 PRC and 6.8 Western, get all the attention. And it's not just the factory's bullet makers are noticing that new rifle buyers are leaning toward those trendy calibers, so they're cranking out fewer 277 projectiles. That means higher costs and less availability. For the 270 faithful, brass is no better. New Winchester cases used to be 29 cents each, now they're 51. And if you're thinking about scrounging range brass, forget it. Most indoor ranges are recycling everything to cover costs, so those days are gone. If you're a die-hard Jack O'Connor fan, you need to act fast. Grab 2 boxes of 130-grain interlocks or 140-grain controlled expansion loads before summer hits. Yeah, $50 for $20 rounds sucks, but waiting for a holiday sale. Don't bother retailers jack up prices on hunting calibers in October. Confirm your zero in August. And stash a few rounds for next year. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. 30-30 Winchester, the lever gun king, is running on fumes. The 30-30 Winchester, the lever-action legend that's been putting venison on the table since the 1800s. If you're a fan of cowboy guns, or just love the feel of a Marlin or Winchester in your hands, you're probably already feeling the pinch. 2 years ago, you could walk into any chain store and see those dull green core-locked boxes stacked shoulder-high, priced at a reasonable $21 for 20 rounds. Hell, it was almost too easy. But fast forward to today, and those same stores are taping up handwritten signs that say, 30-30 limit 1 box. And even then, you're paying $42 for Hornady's polymer-tipped loads, double what you paid before the world went sideways. So, what the hell happened? Well, it's a mix of bad timing and new rules, recent straight-wall cartridge regulations in places like Ohio and Michigan have turbocharged lever gun sales. Suddenly, everyone and their brother wants a Marlin or Henry for deer season, and those backlogs are stretching into 6 months. Every new rifle means at least a couple of boxes of ammo, and unlike AR owners who might shoot cheap steel case stuff, lever gun folks are stuck with domestic brass-cased rounds. No imports here. Buddy, that means you're at the mercy of copper prices, which are floating near $5 a pound. And don't forget the 25% tariff on Chinese steel jackets. It's a recipe for pain. But here's the real gut punch: ammo plants only schedule 30-30 runs in late spring, so retailers can stock up before rifle season. If there's a hiccup like, say, gallium export controls delaying primer mixes, there's no time to catch up. The line just doesn't run again until next year, because they've already switched to cranking out 7.62 NATO or 5.56 for Uncle Sam. And if you're thinking, I'll just reload, think again. Once fired brass used to be 11 cents a pop, now those bins are empty. And new Starline brass is 44 cents a case. Flat-nose bullets scarce as hen's teeth, because component makers are too busy making pointy 3 or 8 projectiles that sell faster. Let's do the math for deer season. A typical woods hunter fires 3 rounds to confirm 0, and maybe 2 in the field. That's 5 rounds 3/4 of a $42 box. You've got 15 left for practice, but if you burn through those, you're back at the store, praying another shipment shows up. Spoiler, it probably won't. So, here's my advice. Grab at least 3 boxes right now, even if it means shelling out over $100 a year from now. A single box could cost $70 of tariffs and antimony shortages. Keep choking the supply. Don't say I didn't warn you. 243 Winchester, the do-it-all caliber that's getting picked clean. The 243 Winchester is like that reliable friend who's always there until they're not. On the surface, it looks okay. Online aggregators still listed at 75 cents a round. And some small-town stores have a couple of dusty boxes left, but scratch that surface, and you'll see the cracks. Federal's popular 100 grain, non-lead loading hasn't shipped since January. Why? Because antimony-free primer chemistry needs gallium, and China's cut gallium exports in half this year. So, component makers are saving what little they have for calibers that fly off the shelves faster. Here's the thing, the 243's biggest strength is also its weakness. It's a dual-purpose round great for varmint hunting and deer. That means, in the spring, coyote callers are buying up 58 grain VMAX in bulk, draining the inventory. Then, come August, deer hunters show up looking for 95 grain or 100 grain loads, only to find the shelves stripped bare. Retailers try to hedge by ordering half pallets in March, but supply lines are backed up, and those pallets get raided by prairie dog shooters before autumn even hits. So, by the time you're gearing up for deer season, all that's left is 55 grain varmint ammo, which most whitetail hunters won't touch with a 10-foot pole. Brass isn't any better. New Winchester cases are up to 43 cents each. And if you're thinking about necking down once-fired .308, you'll need a forming die and a power trimmer gear that costs more than 2 cases of hunting ammo. Bullets, same story. Match shooters chasing 6mm BR and 6mm Creedmoor are hogging all the high BC 105 grain projectiles, so Sierra and Hornady are cranking those out instead of the 95 grain deer bullets you need. And don't forget, factory ammo relies on large rifle primers, which are in short supply. Because, surprise, they need antimony too. Here's the bottom line, if you don't load up now, you're gonna pay boutique prices later. Vista Outdoor's latest investor call admitted that legacy small batch calibers Red 243 are gonna feel the pinch until at least Q1 2026. Translation: buy now or cry later. For a typical deer camp, you need 1 box to confirm 0, 1 for the season, and 1 spare. That used to be $60, now it's $104. Wait until September, and you might find empty pegs with a laminated tag that says, "Call for ETA." Don't be that guy. Buy early, store it properly, and thank me when the leaves change color. 4570 Government, the big bore thumper that's eating your wallet. Let's talk about the 4570 Government, the ultimate big bore. Brush busting. I'm not messing around cartridge. It's no longer just for grizzled old-timers or reenactors. Modern Marlin 1895s with suppressor-ready barrels have sparked a renaissance, and every one of those rifles gulps ammo that costs more to make than 3 boxes of 5.56. Why? Because a single 405 grain hardcast bullet uses nearly an ounce of lead alloy, plus enough antimony to keep that slug from smearing in the bore. With antimony now over $31 a metric ton, triple last year's price, the raw materials alone add 21 cents to every cartridge, before you even factor in brass, powder, or labor. So, what's that mean for your wallet? 2 years ago, Hornady's Lever Revolution 325 grain flex tips were $48.99 a box, now $63.50 or $3.18 a shot. Buffalo Boars Plus P 430 grain bear loads, they're past $85. And here's the kicker, Midwestern outfitters, who require those rounds for Alaska trips, are panicking. They're reserving every shipment, leaving nothing for the casual hog hunter down south. Production is a mess too. Ammo lines have to switch to large rim straight wall brass, adjust powder drops for 405 grain columns, and crimp heavy. That setup change only happens quarterly. So, if you miss one run, you're waiting 3 months. And with large rifle Magnum primers in short supply because the military's hogging them for .338 Norma and 300 Win Mag sniper ammo, you're screwed. If you're a reloader, you might think you've got an edge, but it's not cheap. Starline brass is 78 cents a case, and hard-cast bullets that were 34 cents each last winter are now 60 cents. Add in powder and primers, and your cheap hand load is still $130 a round. Factory ammo, it'll never be cheaper than $2.50 a shot again. unless raw metals crash, and with export restrictions tightening. That's a pipe dream. Here's the play. Every lever gun owner needs at least 60 defensive rounds and 40 practice rounds. That used to cost $200 in 2023, now it's $380, and availability is worse than the price. I've heard stories of hunters driving 2 hours to find a single box in Rocky Mountain tourist towns, only to pay $80 because the guide insists on solid penetration for elk. If you own a 45-70, the clock is ticking louder than on any other caliber. Buy 2 seasons worth now and store it properly. If prices soften later, great top off. But if supply collapses, and it could, your rifle becomes a very expensive club. Look, I'm not here to scare you, but the writing's on the wall. The ammo shortage isn't coming. It's here, and it's only going to get worse. Whether you're shooting 30-06, 270, 30, 30, 243, or 45-70, the time to act is now. Lock in what you need while you still have options. Because once the shelves go bare, it's not just about price, it's about availability. And trust me, you don't want to be the guy scrambling in September, paying triple for a box of ammo that might not even show up. So, what are you seeing out there? Are your go-to hunting rounds still in stock, or are they already MIA? Drop a comment and let me know. I'm curious. And if this helped you stay ahead of the curve, give it a like, subscribe for more ammo intel, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next alert. Stay sharp, stay stocked, and I'll catch you in the next one.